Well, the heavyweight division is getting super exciting, and we also what happened this weekend. So we got to know what was going through your mind.
Yeah, when you're seeing Joshua and Andy Ruiz Jr. going at it, what is your thought before the fight begins? Because these are guys that are, in your weight class, you're eyeing up this fight. What are you thinking before the fight?
I'll give you a little rundown on it. Everybody who looked at the two fighters, there was about 10 or 15 of us watching on the night. And everyone said, oh, Joshua in a round, Joshua in 2 rounds, look at the other guy. And I was like, you don't judge a book by its cover, and you don't go, in heavyweight doesn't go how the fighter looks, if he's chubby or muscular. It doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Because it's one punch and it's all over. I looked at Joshua and I seen he didn't want to be in the ring on the night. He was looking away, he just had other things on his mind.
Right.
Because when fighters travel, they seem to go into the opponent's backyard and they feel intimidated for whatever reason. I'm not one of those guys.
Right, you're not that guy. We've seen it. So now what are you thinking around third round when it starts getting really exciting?
Third round, from round 1, I could see what was going to happen. I looked at Joshua, he didn't have no water on him, no sweat walking into the ring. I thought this guy's going to get knocked out, and there was 10 or 15 guys in the room, and when I said this was before the fight started, and then it happened, and I knew that he couldn't box that style. And even in the rematch, they're saying, oh, XYZ, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong. But his style and his style, they're not made to go together, and Andy will always beat AJ, in my opinion.
So 7th round, by that point, you're not surprised?
Not surprised at all.
Wow.
Now, before we get to you, one last question about this fight. When you see him get knocked down and it's over, are you thinking a rematch? He will train differently. He will be prepared. Or do you think Ruiz has a chance to do this again?
Well, if you look at Joshua's physique, he didn't look underprepared to me.
That is true.
He looks like a specimen of a human being.
But as you said, in the heavyweight division,
it means nothing.
It means nothing.
Because it's not the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog. And if you ain't a purebred fighter and you don't want to be in that ring on the night, doesn't matter how big you are, how strong you are, how many weights you can lift, it's not the place for you.
Now, when you're fighting a guy like Tom Schwarz and you are a heavy favorite,
yeah.
Do you worry about ever underestimating?
No, I never underestimate the opponent because I've been underestimated my whole life. Before Andy, it was always me who was a chubby kid. Oh, look at his body. He doesn't have a ripped body. He's not six-packed up. He obviously doesn't train. And it's usually always me who gets the criticism for being fat. So I'm happy there's another fat guy on the team. The heavyweights are where the glory is, and that's where everybody wants to watch the heavyweights knock each other out.
I've always been a fan of heavyweight fights because in my mind, like Mayweather and Pacquiao, those guys could fight well. Canelo, Alvarez. I enjoy the fights, but in my mind, a heavyweight would beat them. So really, in a sense, the heavyweight champion is the top of the top of the top. And when that division's popping, boxing's like no other.
100%. We went through a dull part with the Klitschko's taking over and that boring European style and grab and jab and all that.
And you can
settled that.
Yeah, you can acknowledge that as a fighter. You knew that for 10 years.
100%.
It was sort of a boring...
It was. People didn't get excited about the heavyweight champion of the world anymore. And then the young guns took over. When I went to Germany to beat Klitschko, he had 25 title defences. He was almost unbeatable, everybody thought, until someone fresh and young went over there and took the titles away, and then Deontay Wilder became a world champion, then Anthony Joshua became a world champion, and now Andy Ruiz. But there's so many other good guys coming up behind him as well. Everybody is getting better and better over the years.
Everybody's getting better and better, but now that Joshua got knocked out, do you think he was overrated? How do you view that?
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of kicking people when they're down.
Okay. We saw that on social media, by the way.
Yeah.
How you reached out to everybody. That was really cool.
I've been down so many times in my life, and without inspirational messages and conversations with people, then I probably would still be there today. But I believe he'd done very well in his career and life. He came from nothing to be very successful and make a lot of money and win a gold medal for his country and be heavyweight champion of the world. That's a success. This is heavyweight boxing. People get knocked out, people win, people lose. There's got to be a winner and a loser in the division, but on that night he was loser. But I think even in the rematch he'll lose again. Styles make fights, and I think Andy Ruiz's style is all wrong for him.
Listen, we're all going to be watching you on ESPN+. Without looking beyond that fight too much, because that's what we're all going to be excited about next weekend.
Yeah.
Do you already start seeing how this will shape up? How will this pan out with the guys in this division? Are you licking your lips for another rematch with Deontay Wilder?
He's licking his lips.
or do you think maybe Ruiz is in your future?
Do you know, the only thing that I can only see in my mind right now is Tom Schwarz. He's rated number 2 in the world by the WBO.
Right.
He's a big guy, he's unbeaten. He's got a point to prove. And I always say whoever fights Tyson Fury will always fight better because they know they can become the lineal heavyweight champion of the world and everything's on the line. And if Tom Schwarz manages to beat me, he gets everything that comes with being a heavyweight champion of the world. So I will never make the mistake of underestimating these opponents or looking past them.
How do you feel fighting in Vegas, though? Does that, because it's your first time, right?
First time here,
Does that add any extra pressure for you at all?
Not really.
Not
I'm not a guy who gets pressured about boxing
More excitement?
or where the event is. To me, it's just another day in the office. It's fantastic that I'm fighting in Vegas finally. It's 30 years in the making. I'm really looking to put on a show. And I hope that I can go out there and perform how I know I can and entertain the paying customer or the people watching.
Maybe a good after party.
100%.
Well, you've partied in Vegas before, I imagine, right?
I've never been to Vegas because ever.
Wow.
I always said I'd save it until I boxed here, and I was a man of my word, and I saved it, and I'm finally going to box here.
Well, Rich could introduce you to a bunch of creepy places in Vegas.
I can.
Come on, Rich.
I'm in. We'll do this. Hey, when you give a guy his first loss, is that a special feeling? Because when this fight happens, I have a feeling you're going to take care of Schwarz. When you do, seeing that one in the L column, knowing that's you, is that a special feeling?
Not really. For me, it doesn't really mean much. I beat plenty of unbeaten fighters in my career. But it means something when there's a rivalry there between fighters. But when there's no rivalry, like you don't really know the guy, have any personal relationship with him, then it doesn't really mean anything because he's just another bare bum in the shower, basically.